Hello, everyone. Leslie Ruthie here. I'm your host for Gaming and Leisure's Voice. And today we are speaking with Mark Fancourt, and he is with TRAVHOTECH. Did I pronounce that right, Mark?
You did. You
I
did.
did. All
Thank you.
right.
Thank you, Leslie. Yes. It doesn't
And
always happen.
I'm pretty good linguistically. Pretty good. Anyway, when I lurked around your LinkedIn profile, I see that you're the founder or the co-founder of TRAVHOTECH, and on your website, I'm seeing that you kind of fly under the radar. You're just like, oh yeah, I'm a consultant here at the company. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about TRAVHOTECH and who you are.
That's good. Oh, look, first, thanks very much for the opportunity to catch up. I appreciate it, and I certainly appreciate the Jeannie extending the opportunity. So thank you. TravHotech, yes, you did get it right. It's funny. A lot of people always ask me about it, and the funny thing is that the name is meant to be travel, hospitality, and technology. And when I first put it together, I thought, well, Mark, that's what you're going to do. So it makes sense. So people should be able to. But so many people say, how do I say that, Mark? So
Or
it's funny because
TRAVHOTECH?
yeah. And so the funniest thing is I literally the guy who does my social media work for me, I said to him, look, I want you to do a little video that just talks about how to pronounce TRAVHOTECH so people understand the nature of the name for the business. So there you go. But no, how did it come to pass? Well, I'm a career hotelier. That's how I see myself first and foremost. Very proud to be a part of the hospitality industry. But then my journey eventually ran into technology, and that basically was made up of probably half of my career running technology for travel and hospitality companies, and then the other half providing technology solutions to travel and hospitality companies. So I did that for probably 3 decades, just short of, and sort of came to the last end of one of my corporate roles, and I thought, well, what are you going to do now? And I felt like, well, with the background of time that I'd built up, I thought the logical thing to do was to try to deliver that experience to both sides of the industry based on my sort of broader collective experience, and that's what TRAVHOTECH was born from. So one of the things that I noticed certainly throughout my corporate roles was that I really enjoyed variety, and
Oh, yeah.
through this type of approach to industry, it allows me to continue to enjoy that variety in the manner in which I help my clients on either side of our industry. Whether that be the operational side or the technology partner side. So I felt like it was a great way to leverage all the experience I had and maintain the variety and be able to give back on a broader level than you can when you're just doing it with one organization. So that's how it came to pass.
It almost sounds like self-preservation in a way.
Yeah, well, that's about
Variety,
that too,
yeah,
right?
because
Yeah.
I'm one of those, if I get bored and I need to keep doing many different things, and I used to be detail, get me in the weeds, but now no.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about our industry when it comes to technology is that it's massive, and
It is.
um, I mean, you're talking about everything from digital and customer facing right through to facility management. Um, you're talking about high end audio technology to service management inside an operation. You're talking about intelligent, or smart gaming technology, right through to automatic dispense bar driven by technology. So there's just so much to it, and that variety I think, keeps you fresh mentally.
It
But it
does.
also keeps you searching for the possibilities that come across that diaspora, if you like. And of course, a technologist's role is to try to make that entire environment work in some level of cohesiveness, from the front to the back and the side to the side of the business. So you're never going to run out of things to keep you interested, things to learn, and it just gets bigger all the time. I mean, if I think back to when I started in hotel operations in 1986, we talked, back then you probably had a PABX and
Oh,
you
yeah.
had a PMS
The SL1
and
phones, remember?
right, right. And maybe you
Maybe.
had a point of sale, right? Maybe. So you look at that now, and then when I do an ecosystem design for a hospitality group or something like that, I'm looking at in excess of 200 business functions that I'm evaluating for technology support. And
And
that's in the space of what, 40 years.
and each
So,
of those functions, when you think about gaming and hospitality, uh, they're separate business lines in other industries. You know, you have the
that's right.
hotel industry, you have the entertainment industry,
Exactly.
you have the restaurant industry, you have, I mean, it just goes on. Oh,
Exactly.
I'm a spa. No, this is everything under
Yeah.
one roof.
Yes.
And then to add customer safety or guest safety
That's
on
right.
top of that,
That's right.
uh, it's quite a daunting operation.
Well, you take it the next step now, where now it includes the entire um, information
Oh, yes.
security and risk piece. Which, if you look at the tool set that discipline requires today, it's verging on the same level of scope of technology that sort of infrastructure technology needs.
Hmm.
And that, you could argue that 15 years ago, I mean, was information security a focus and something that we need to be focused on 15 years? Of course it was, right? But at the extent that it has become today, it is, I'd argue it's probably 10x, 20x times what
It
it
is.
was when we first started working with it. So it's just a massive domain of business process that you try to harness and bring under control, and certainly, ideally, number one, support the capability of a business through automation. But if you are really doing it well, creating competitive advantage
Right.
through that mechanism, and that, to me, that's exciting. There's just no end to the opportunities. And so how do you run out of things to think about? How do you run out of things to do? And then you watch technology continuing to develop alongside your efforts to try to make, a business a better business. You're never going to run out of things to
No, you're not. And it's
do.
daunting sometimes, but once it gets in your blood, I mean, I have been out of operations close to 19 years now. I've been a vendor. I still sleep with the phone beside my bed.
It's funny because, as I said, I was an operational hotelier, and a lot of my early career in technology was execution, and
Yes.
delivery. And so as a result, I'm very, I did the job. I was very comfortable educating teams how to do the job with a range of different tool sets. And I'm still just as happy there today.
Yeah.
when those times come up or call for it. And actually, because ultimately I'm a hotelier, I love it. I still enjoy it. I still get the biggest kick out of the the way that technology can really change the overall customer experience. And I feel very strongly that that is what we need to be focused on. As technologists in the industry, we
Yes.
can't lose sight of the fact that hospitality is about hospitality. It's not about technology. You so that remains a big driver as I approach the work that I do, certainly with my clients.
And it's good to see the operators finally appreciating technology. Before, technology was just the overhead department. You reported to finance and just, oh, I need to get 20 more machines on the floor. That's where my revenue comes from. But it's
It's
nice to see it changing. Yes.
Well, and it's so interesting, isn't it? Because um, yeah, we've both been in that environment, and the irony of the digital business world being globally underpinned by technology, and yet apparently technology doesn't drive revenue.
Imagine that.
I see. It's a cost center. Oh, I
We're
see.
still a cost center.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, you won't need that then, will you? Yeah.
Let's just turn it off. Don't pay the bill. We're good. Well,
No,
Mark,
no. Look, as you say, I mean, look, I think to your point, Leslie, the frustration, of course, that all of us have, as peers doing what we do, is that you see the possibilities and you see the
do.
opportunities and you vision the outcomes and the difference that's going to make. But as the one percentile, as I always describe it, of sort of manpower in the hospitality industry, it's very, very difficult. And I believe this remains one of our biggest challenges. It's very, very difficult to help get the rest of the team excited about the possibilities at the same level. And I think that is the art of being a technologist in our industry, is how good you are at bridging that gap, basically.
Yes, that's exactly right. Um, oh boy, we have a lot to cover. We're gonna have fun today. We're gonna have fun today, everyone.
uh,
But first, we need to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. And Mark and I will be right back. And as you can see, we got off on a tangent already, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about a lot of technology and hospitality. So stay with us. Talk to you in a minute. Agilysys helps the gaming industry realize its full potential through exceptional technology that goes beyond what other tech providers have trained hospitality to expect. We built our state-of-the-art hospitality-focused software for continuous innovation, industry-leading data sharing, maximum flexibility for best-of-breed performance, and smooth ecosystem integration, and an always learning guest profile engine so you can create personal experiences. It's time for hospitality to go beyond with technology from Agilysys. So, welcome back, everyone. While we were on break, Mark and I went off and just started talking about all things hospitality, and it's fantastic conversation. And we've decided we're going to do this again. So, stay tuned for more. But when we were talking about doing the podcast, Mark and I went back on email and just like, how do you want to cover this? And one of the things that you told me, Mark, is that you wanted to focus on the industry big picture. And what do you consider when we talk about that broad topic? What do you consider one of the top challenges when we look at travel and hospitality. So big picture, back at you.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't think there's any shortage of big picture challenges for our industry,
Oh
but
no.
certainly the topical one at the moment is all things artificial intelligence. Personally, I think there are many angles to that discussion, but the one that tends to capture um, most of the attention at the moment is toward the search and discovery side of artificial intelligence. My view is that there's consumer artificial intelligence and there's business artificial intelligence, and they're two very different things. But as is so often the case with our industry, we're very much focused on the consumer aspects of
Oh
artificial
yes.
intelligence at the moment. Um, it's not necessarily to say that we shouldn't be focused on it, but I would certainly argue that compared to business artificial intelligence, we don't have a whole lot of control over the consumer artificial intelligence. There are much bigger drivers and decision making processes in the average consumer's life that determines what they're doing with artificial intelligence and how they're going to do it. And our ability to fundamentally influence that, right, at the
Yeah, oh
macro
yes.
level is non existent. Um, at a micro level within industry, over time, we'll have a little more opportunity to influence it. But I think it's really important for people in our industry to understand that we are sort of the third layer of this entire environment, and that by its nature has a direct impact on just how much we can do to change, that overall environment. It's not to say that there aren't things we need to do, but how far we get on that side of the business is not very much not entirely in our control. Whereas on the other side of the table, it's directly in our control. So I do think that people need to sort of take two views on what artificial intelligence is, could be, becomes, as far as the travel and hospitality sector is concerned.
And the inference learning of artificial intelligence, um, I think would have a direct impact on a hospitality business, be it just a plain hotel, be it a casino hotel, be it a destination. If you are not out there in the forefront, making sure that your brand is known by the AI, I don't know, engines, I guess, for lack of a better term, by the AI engines, you're going to lose your consumers. You're going to lose your customers because those engines aren't going to drive them to you as a brand. They'll send them to, oh, stay at this hotel or stay, go here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and look, it's the truth, and yet 'twas always thus.
It was
Um,
always thus, yes.
because and I think to your point, this is sort of what I think separates the influence that we have here. Now, to your point, Leslie, are there things that we need to be looking at and doing structurally to make sure that we remain relevant and available, so to speak, to the digital travel space? Well, of course, there's no question about that, right? But I like to flip it around the other way because I think this is much more realistic in terms of just helping people understand where we sit. Now, everyone listening to us today is using what I call some type of an AI browser, right? So, AI browser, which is what it will become, right? If you look at Google, it almost is that now.
Hmm.
Same with, same with Bing. Uh, you're going to choose one. And the reason you're going to choose one has absolutely nothing to do with the hospitality business.
Nope.
It has absolutely nothing to do with the travel business. It has everything to do with their work environment, their personal environment, and what makes a more cohesive life and consumer experience for them. They're not making those decisions based on anything that we're doing or are going to do in our industry. And people have to realize that.
Hmm.
I use Gmail and Google Suite for all my businesses because it makes sense for me to use it. And it's got nothing to do with the fact that I'm in the travel and hospitality technology sector. So these are above industry. And that's for that reason. We don't have very much control or influence over the customer. The one thing that we do have total control and influence over is when we get them to our door.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter which way they came. Obviously, we would like it to be direct, but let's face it, a lot of the OTAs exist because our industry largely fueled the fire for them. So
Hmm.
let's not pretend that you know our love hate relationship with the OTAs.
OTAs,
It does
yes.
it. It's a distribution network, just like Amazon has a distribution network, and the motor industry has a distribution network. These are distribution networks. Distribution networks are normal. Distribution networks will continue to exist, and you use all the different channels to the best of your ability. But after that's done, they arrive to experience the products and the services and dare I say it, the hospitality of our industry. And that
That
is the thing that no one can take away from us. So the term I often use is be a good hotelier. And if you're a good hotelier, you will be remembered and they will at least think about you when they're coming back to a destination that they might be repeating to go to. Now, if they're never coming back, well, you lost them anyway, right?
right.
Maybe if you're a part of a small, medium, or large group, you may have left some breadcrumbs there that made them think, gee, Fancourt Hotels was a pretty nice experience. And Fancourt Hotels happens to have another one in a place. I'm going, I might give that a shot next time I head in that direction. But for many at the smaller scale, you don't have the spread. So you don't necessarily have the opportunity to get that repeat custom if the customer has no particular reason to return. Was it ever any different? That's the question. Was it ever any different than the execution of great hospitality, product and service delivery?
You
So just do that.
just do
Just
that.
do that.
You have to leave an impression. And, a lot of sayings in this go round with you. But you never have a chance to make a first impression again. And so many times they muck it up because the lines are long or whatever it is that causes that little sour taste in their mouth. Now, that doesn't mean that every hotelier has to perform flawlessly all the time because it's business is business, systems are systems, people are people. You're going to have a glitch here and there, but you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And like we were talking about on break, a $36 kettle just for a cup of tea. I mean, are they ever
No,
coming back? Probably
no,
not.
no, absolutely not. And you
And
you would
they're
have
going
to
to
be
tell
amazing.
20 of their friends.
Well, this is it, right? This is it, and it's so often lost. I mean, we know this statistically. People talk about the bad more than they talk about the good. So, eliminate those reasons
To talk bad.
to be bad.
Exactly.
But again, I mean, sort of taking back to your original point, is it Covey or is it Stephen Robert, Anthony Robert? I just can't remember who talks about concentric circles of influence, right?
Yes.
And I think that's exactly what we're talking about in this particular area of the greater technology environment of our industry. There's a part that we're entirely in control of, and we so often ignore it at the expense of all the other things and all the other noise and all the shiny objects and all the beautiful, bits and pieces that we can bolt on and add on the extra. We rarely focus on the bit that's entirely in our control and totally under our decision making power to both execute technically and operationally to get real benefits inside our own business that no
Yes.
one else can stop us doing. We don't do that.
We don't. We don't. We don't have that oh wow moment or that little differentiator that just burns in a customer's brain to say that's why I'm a Marriott girl or that's why I stay here. Whatever it is, you have to have that one little thing that sticks in their mind. Um, One of the things that is addressing the industry today, and you actually talked about it prior, is the wallet versus the web, and how we have large financial institutions, of which I have one of their credit cards, that really tries to four-wall you as their customer to make sure that they get every dime that they can out of your wallet, whether you're visiting a clothing store or a hotel, or I'm going to eat in a restaurant, whatever it is that I'm doing. So when we talk about that ownership that the large credit card companies are trying to have over your wallet, what is the counter move? When you think about traditional hospitality, what are some of the things that they can do to stand out and avoid, just becoming a body on the side of the road?
Yeah, no, it's well. I think the context that I was discussing that in was in relation to Capital One. So, you may or you may not have heard, but Capital One ultimately acquired the travel platform Hopper, right? And
I,
this wasn't new; they'd been doing this over a number of years. But when I saw this come to pass, I looked at what that created, and I thought, well, gee, if you ever wanted to have a counter position to a path to customer, as compared to what we were talking about before, which is the AI browser war, well, this is a pretty good one because if your relationship with the bank is strong, and I heard a statistic just the last couple of days about the amount of credit card transaction that goes through the travel credit cards compared to other credit cards is massive, right? But more than that, your relationship with your banking institution is one, it's very long term. You might not be loyal to them, but you're very much connected to them. You may not love them, right? But you're very much connected to
that's
them.
right.
And they have a direct path to you as a consumer, both in terms of what you're doing financially, but also how you're spending and consuming financially. And if you look at the Capital One example, that's both at a debit and a credit level. So they literally see everything, right? Everything. Now, sure, you might have an American Express card. Okay, those bits and pieces slip by the wayside. But if your banking relationship is from a debit and a credit and perhaps a loan perspective and where your salary gets sent to, they have a very, very big picture of what it is that you do as a human being, right? So going back to the point of AI browser war, which is one aspect that we're facing from I guess an opportunity and a threat from an industry's perspective. Well, the banking relationship, as I see it, is another channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because it bypasses the AI browser process, which is much more of a lottery in terms of whether you do it or you don't get found, your relationships with some of the banking institutions could ultimately be much more linear into your business, depending on the level of relationship you might have. We talk about American Express, global travel, right, and the various tiers of product that you have in there. Well, American Express, interestingly enough, also is spending their time trying to create debit products and
Oh,
deposit
yeah.
products and banking products because they also see this whole opportunity. Right? So I saw it more as a bit of a counter against the emerging AI browser, AI travel, AI distribution space, and a more potentially direct relationship with the financial community leveraging that through into the hospitality business. Now, they're both channels at the end of the day, and they're both based on commercial
Mm-hmm.
relationships. Nothing changes there. It very much fits the model that we've always had of the industry. But is it a way for the third tier, as we talked about before, to maintain a more direct relationship into your own
Right.
business versus the
Yeah.
lottery of the browser game? So I just found it to be a really interesting development in light of what is happening in the other half of the environment. Um, so yeah, I think it's a watch this space. But of course, you know, all of our hospitality companies have very big banking relationships too, because they generally turn over quite a lot of money as merchants. And how do you leverage that relationship for even more value
Yes,
than
it
just the payment side of it?
really triggers some neurons right now. Because I think about what the bland counter moves are to say like a Capital One travel card. It's like, oh, whenever I'm on a Delta flight, it's like, please don't tell me about the credit card at the end of the flight again.
Right.
Um,
I'm not interested. Right.
Wherever you're at, please don't tell me about, would you like the credit card? Would you? No, I don't. Yeah. But I do, as a consumer, want a central way to have the best benefit from using the credit card. So, what are the relationships that hospitality businesses can develop to enhance their relationship? Because, that whole financial tie. I mean,
Yeah.
I know
Well, and
exactly.
it's going further now, right?
Yeah,
Because there's a big argument about, well, what should the future of loyalty, right, for want of a better description,
yeah.
look like? Well, there's a school. So I'm an American Express card holder. Um, my personal approach on my sort of travel and hospitality experience is that I'm not loyal to anyone. I'm loyal to what works for me and what is most convenient for me. And my focus, if I'm even focused on it at all, which I'm not, is that my points, regardless of what I do and who I do it with, end up on American Express. And it so happens that American Express gives me a marketplace of how I might like to consume those points, which again is focused on
Hmm.
what's convenient for me versus
Hmm.
dictating how I have to spend those earnings, if you like, in someone's very specific ecosystem. So, what's right for one person is not right for another. I accept that, but I do see more and more people thinking about the value of above industry loyalty because it probably provides a better outcome for the consumer. And at the end of the day, it's a consumer product at the end of the day.
At the end of
So
the day, yes.
it's a bit like the AI browser, right? They're going to use the one that they want to use, and it's got nothing to do with the hospitality industry. So I find both of those somewhat have some parallels with each other.
And when we talk about, at the end of the day, it's up to the consumer how they want to consume. Um, and we also talked about, the experience. You have one chance to really make an impression. You talk about operations in the hotel environment and in a hotelier ecosystem that we really radically need to re-architect the way these businesses are run. Because at the end of the day, the customer experience is languishing because we're looking at 10 different screens, or we're still having to, for example, if I've just finished, cleaning the room, I have to pick up the phone and dial and then key in a code. Why can't I just, press a button and say I'm done? That whole experience is just not there for the
Mm.
employee. So how do you think that we should be re-architecting the way that these departments are interacting so that we can get a better business?
Mm. Yeah, well, look, these are areas I'm particularly passionate about. Um, a couple of things that come to mind here. So I wrote an article for Henry Rollins' Hotel Yearbook, which is one of Hospitality Net's
Yeah,
publications this year. And on this topic, I was being a bit cheeky because I'm by no means Einstein, right? That's for sure. But I tried to come up with something that sounded a little bit like his theory of relativity. So I came up with SX equals GX
I love it.
square, exclamation mark, as square as in you get it, right? Now, my point was SX being the staff experience equals the guest experience. And one of the things that I focus on with TRAVHOTECH when I'm working with my clients is that the staff experience has to be a strong outcome, and SX equals cohesion for me.
Yes.
Now, the it's something that I've probably always thought about throughout my career, and certainly as in CIO roles previously. But I ended up through my time with MGM Resorts and then post, I ended up working with a software company called Senium, and the thing that made Senium so remarkable by comparison to all other technology that certainly that I've experienced in the industry was that it was a single platform to run the entire resort experience. Right. The only thing, if you think about the sort of standard software stack that an operational hotel front and back of house would have, and in terms of business capability that needs to be supported, this particular piece of software did everything except for revenue management. Right, so everything, CRM, booking, single platform for all products and services, pricing underpinning that, full flow through to the financial systems, and not just some export at the end of the day, but direct flow through from finance, real time supply chain optimization, service management. In certain markets, could even do HR if you wanted to. So it was an enterprise resource planning tool. software acronym for that type of product for the hospitality industry. So all of our traditional front of house products that you would normally see as siloed, because they weren't siloed anymore. The customer record was singular. So the
Sounds like
staff could
Nirvana.
see the entire right. And I first came across this in 2007, and I wasn't in a position to do anything with it at that time. And then I ended up at MGM Resorts. We're going to use it. So it was but it was a remarkable experience, because what it taught me was this is how our business can look when technology is not the thing that's stopping us operating effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And the great irony of all of this is, as two people who've delivered a lot of technology to the industry, is a lot of it's our own fault.
Yes.
We've done this to the industry. We've given them these silos. Now you could roll that right back, and you could say, well, when we first built technology, we looked at the business process that we thought we were supporting, and we built the technology. So it's not, it's not no crime by any means. But in a modern world where, let's use the term appropriate, particularly to this audience, integrated resort. Well, integrated resort to me means that I can book all the products and services they have to offer on the digital shelf in a cohesive experience altogether, not separated into different
Mm-hmm.
silos, that the staff can see that entire environment, whether it's you or I looking at Mr. Brown's experience, we can see what Mr. Brown has booked, what he's doing while he's here, which outlets and which products he's buying, where he's going next, where he was before, all his past transactional experience. And we can leverage that information to both ensure that we are knowledgeable of what he's doing from an experience management perspective, but also leverage that same information to grow the revenue opportunity, because you have it's the same thing as the bank we were just talking about, right? If I can see it all, I can do something with it, both from a human interaction perspective, but also from an opportunity to enhance the revenue opportunity around that vision. So I worked in this environment, and it changed my view, as you can imagine, fundamentally of what is not working well for both our customers, but most definitely our staff. Right. So, I've had a vision for a long time of getting to the point where the main role of the operational teams is experience management, right? And I don't mean that in the terms of XM the way it's been used today. I
Right.
mean an active functional team of the business who's constantly optimizing, analyzing, and growing the guest experience, and making sure that the fulfillment side of the guest experience is a very well understood thing with our frontline people and the customer. So when I walk up to the reception desk and I say to the receptionist, whether that be at the restaurant, the spa, the front desk, or the hairdresser, or the attendant at the box office, and I say, "Oh, look, I'm going to be running late for my my golf clinic this afternoon. What should I do?" "Oh, Ms. Ruthie, I'll take care of it right here for you. What time would you like to go?" "Oh, well, I think I'll be an hour late by the time we see the show." "Okay."
We'll fix
"Okay, they can't fit you in an hour, but they can fit you in an hour and a half. Is that what?" "That's fine. Yeah, let's do that. It's done." Right? That is what I call an integrated resort, and that is what I call a well executed customer experience from a hospitality perspective. So for me, it's the company. So I go back to those couple of staff experience equals guest experience, because if you can't give the staff that type of capability, they can't truly do the best for your business anyway. But
No, that
we
can't.
promise
Yeah.
all this to the guest on the outside, saying this is what it's going to be like. And it isn't like that at all. And going back to the very first things that we talked about, all of that is totally within our control to address and optimize. And there's only upside, because the staff are more engaged, they've got better jobs, they're across the business, they're able to look after the staff better. The better we look after the staff, the more they come back. The more they come back, the more they spend. The more we can see, the more we can position products and services for them to engage based on what we've got available, but for the fact that we also know something about them, right, which rolls into the whole personalization side of things. So these are not, I happen to know that they're not highfalutin ideas. They're real, which is why I get really excited about it, because it's when you've seen it, it becomes totally different to imagining it. So for me, I see, we talked about my machinations or motivations earlier about how I approach things I do. It's competitive advantage, and if I could do that down here at just one of the properties, the
It's
outcomes from a customer perception perspective and the revenue growth
a game changer.
it's a different industry.
And
It's
and
a
and
different
it
industry.
happens. It happens in other
That's right.
hotel chains. Oh yeah.
That's right.
Um
Even without the consolidated systems,
yes.
because they put the time in, because they recognize it's so important, and they do it despite the fact that there might be a higher cost involved. And that was the
Right.
hospitality industry I grew up in,
Yes.
because we didn't have all these things, and we still managed to somehow achieve this. And we don't do that anymore. We've almost stopped even trying in a lot of ways. And yet we have all the tools in the world to allow that, for us to be, the faster, higher, stronger than we've ever been. And it's all available. And it's been available for a long time.
You can be a mega resort and operate like a boutique. You can.
Yeah.
It's absolutely possible. Um, I have a story. I won't go into it now, but when I see you at the forum, I'll tell you the story. But remind me about the quarterly staff meetings that we used to do at station casinos. They were famous for a long time
Mm,
because it was all about staff experience equals guest experience.
interesting. Yeah, I
Fantastic
look
story.
forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good to hear somebody else thinking that way. It's really sad to see the state of some of the hospitality industry right now. It's I love the industry, and I'm not talking bad about it, but I think there's a lot of improvement that can be done, and the guests are crying for it.
It's up to us to maintain our own industry. The, the it's disappointing to hear a lot of leaders in industry saying it's what the customer wants, when in actual fact it's the machinations that we've gone through as an industry that have created it.
Hmm.
And in many ways, it's not because it needed to be that way. It's because we chose it to be that way. And okay, I get it. We've all been on the commercial side of the industry. We've been corporate hoteliers, but I think the thing that vexes me so much is you can have both. You can have both,
Yeah.
and if you have both, the thing you're looking for, more often than not now, you'll have more of it because you'll be better at what you do. And they go hand in glove. And yet, no one wants to necessarily put the hand in the glove, but the glove's there on the table. It's not. I often say this: technology and people are not mutually exclusive; they're mutually inclusive. And in a business that is the hospitality business, which means something, it means something. It's not a word. It literally has a meaning. We have to maintain our own industry and what we stand for, and show our customers what it is that we're capable of, that they invested in. We don't have to reduce the product and service that we deliver because it's convenient and then tell everyone that that's what the customer wants. I'll give you an example. I spent a lot of my career in Asia. So when we would work with hotel owners and potential hotel owners, owning a hotel in Asia is prestige. The people that want to own hotels, as a general rule, it's often personal, or at least not mega money, and it has a lot to do with the social status of the owner and wanting to have a place that is theirs and that they can bring and frequent. And this is my hotel. Now, naturally, they're high wealth individuals, but it's not about a bed shop. If you follow my meaning, it matters, and the quality matters. So, one of the companies I work for, we had a 4-star brand and a 5-star brand, and often with even in the largest hotel management groups in the world, you're positioning the brands for certain marketplaces. But particularly when we were doing business in China, they wanted the 5-star brand. Now, they might have been in a 2nd tier or a 3rd tier city, but we want the 5-star brand. And sometimes if you won't give them the 5-star brand, they won't have the relationship with you. Or if you manage to convince them that it's not the right place for that brand, they'll deliver a 5-star product anyway. That's what I mean is it's up to us. It's up to us how we choose to execute our own industry. And of course, we have to listen to customer sentiment, but like all good products and services that people like, it's because you made something that people really resonated with, and they like it and they want more of it. And we're just beyond the hospitality piece, which is the human piece of our industry. After that, we're no different to Ford. We have our short-term production line that produces the product and services that our customers can buy off our shelf, right, or off our car lot. We're no different to anyone else, but the part that is different is the hospitality piece. And if we don't focus on that, then we could just be Amazon. And that's not to take away from what Amazon does. They have a very specific role to play, but it's not emotional. It's not about connection. It's about facilitation and transactions.
It's transaction processing at its best when you look at Amazon. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And when you deliver that hospitality, people are willing to pay for it. Or they won't complain as much about paying for it. Let me put it that way.
No.
And you talk about that with using Ford as the example. And it's absolutely true. You go to a Ford or a Chevrolet car lot, and it's a 3-star experience. You go in, you buy the car. Do you want a drink of water? Maybe you get a drink of water, kind of thing. But you walk
while
into
dropping 50 grand.
yeah. But then you walk into, Mercedes or Porsche or any of the, the luxury brands, And the experience is totally different. It's totally different, but you're going to pay for it as well because you're buying a, $100,000 car, not a $50,000 car. Yeah.
Mm, mm.
Mark, if we were going to ask you, and if we were, I am going to ask you, not if I was going to ask you. Everything that we have talked about today, we started out with hospitality, we've talked about AI, we've even gone down to, personal computing and making sure that, personal productivity is there. If you had any sage advice or any wisdom as this industry, and I'm going to pull us back to our hospitality industry, as we forge ahead with everything that's going on today, what would be your sage advice for a hotel?
The
Uh,
big question. Well, but I'll trim it down to a really succinct answer. The and we probably touched on this before, Leslie, but number one, concentrate on the things that you can directly control.
Bingo.
That'd
Yes.
be step one. Step two, focus on the staff experience, which also happens to be directly in your role. Because the better staff experience will make a better guest experience, and eventually, as all good hoteliers know, happy staff, happy guest, happy owner, profitable business. Right? This is no secret. It's as old as my time in the industry. Focus on your technology and take it much more seriously than perhaps you have been today, even if you're already taking it seriously, because it is the foundation to organizational capability. And it's ultimately the one place that you can actually still get competitive advantage. And I'll expand on that. Everyone is in a competitive marketplace wherever they are in the world, whether it's on Las Vegas Boulevard or it's in Cabo San Lucas or it's on the Gold Coast in Australia. And within that competitive set, you have your tiers of competition. The thing that's really curious about all of that is that all your competition has beds.
Mm-hmm.
They probably have restaurants. And beyond that, some of them will even have other sort of lifestyle facilities or other products and services on offer. What they don't all have is the same technical capability. And if you are one of those people who sees the opportunity in technology, and I guarantee you the opportunities are everywhere to be found inside your business, you can gain competitive advantage for the window of time that it is that your competitive set doesn't have the capability that you have. And that can be, as I continue to be constantly surprised and find out all the time, it can be 20 years.
Oh, yes.
Right? 20 years. Now, your bed and your room reno are not going to get you that type of competitive
No.
advantage. In fact, if we work on normal cycles for industry, you should have done probably three full refurbs and three soft refurbs in that same amount of time. And I'm just not quite sure how much more revenue that would have made you. So, don't overlook it. Take it seriously because it's all about business capability at the end of the day. And there's only one winner to business capability, and that's you. The last thing I would say is, and again, particularly with the juncture that we're at today, in terms of the next big thing, if we put it that way, from a technology perspective, which it is artificial intelligence, quite closely followed by robotics, but somewhere in the middle there, quantum. Keep your eyes on what's going on. Don't panic. There's nothing to panic about yet. on as just to remind everyone, we talked about the consumer side of AI and the business side of AI. Business side of AI, you're totally in control of going back to point one. The consumer side of AI, not so much. Okay. This is going to require your existing technology partners to help you move towards that destination. Talk to them. Don't expect miracles overnight. They're all learning too. Everyone's learning, that's for sure. Understand the roadmap, understand where they're headed, start to prepare yourself to be able to go on that journey, because it's not just about simply plugging something else in. You've got to do
Right.
preparatory work. It's the same preparatory work we've been opining to the industry that they've needed to do for 20 years, but now you really are going to have to do it. So you may as well bite the bullet and start to think about that, so that your business AI is taken care of, because you can do that now. And when the time comes for your consumer AI side of the business, you'll be ready to do that. That's where I would say we're at today on the, what is it, the 28th of December.
Oh, it's the
So,
30th of
you've got
December.
30th. Oh, goodness me, time
Yeah,
flies when you're having
tomorrow.
fun. So, in 2 days, go to work and remember all those things and start when you get back to the office. Well, probably for most people after the coming weekend, and think about those things and review what your business plan looks like and see how that maps in.
And see how it maps in. And, lead, follow, or get out of the way. That's
Absolutely.
that's
I love that.
absolutely. Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap up. This has been fantastic. Very, very enjoyable for me. I hope you had a good time as well, Mark. Um,
I certainly did, Leslie. Thank you for the thoughtful question.
well, good, good. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. And thanks for being part of the gaming and leisure community. We really appreciate having you. As you know, February 6th is third forum. And I hear through the grapevine you're going to be there, that you might be a moderator, huh?
I am. I am. I'm very much looking forward to it. I've had the good fortune to be at both of the gaming and leisure forums over the last several years, which I really enjoy. The experience, the pace.
I do too.
We talk about execution. Well, the execution is excellent. That's the thing that's always stood out to me. And and then Jeannie had asked me if I would be willing to be involved and give them a hand with the program moving forwards. And I'm thrilled to be able to do so in my own hometown. So very much looking forward to it, and re-engaging with the community as well.
I think it's a great mid-year way to get the community together. We're going to have a really good for everybody listening, we're going to have a really good venue and a really good day planned for you. So the agenda is spot on, and you get to see Mark in person. So, everyone, I just want to say thank you for joining us. Unfortunately, we do have to say goodbye. But until next time, make it a great day, and we'll see you at the forum. All right, we're doing great. Uh,
Yeah.
you and I are going to get in trouble. I can see that.
Well, I like doing that.
I do
I
too.
just don't see the point in, I just, and it's probably because, when you've been around for a long time, you just sort of get tired of it, right? It's
Oh, I
it's
know.
because talking about the topic you just mentioned then is, well, isn't it great to see people starting to get more of an awareness of technology? And then on the flip side, we talk about what we talked about before we started, and you go, well, some people it just hasn't, the penny still hasn't dropped at all.
Mm-mm.
And I fundamentally believe that the 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 growth opportunities for the hospitality industry are rooted in technology tool sets, right? I'm not saying it's all about technology. I'm saying that if you truly want to get exponential growth, it's not going to come any other way.
No, it's not. And I mean, you know what? I think we need to have another podcast on this very topic
Mm,
because it's in the delivery. And there is a lot of failure to deliver in IT technology projects, and therefore the trust is no longer there.
mm,
And never, never has been because you can physically put a box on the floor and see it deliver revenue. Technology and projects are sometimes delayed, sometimes they're failures. So how do you, and again, Jeannie, we got to do another one. Um, how do you bridge that gap and deliver successful projects?
well, it's interesting, because it's something I was talking to Jeannie about because one of the things that I always recognized in my experience that gave me an edge was because I understood the business. And
Yes.
like I didn't sort of know, well, we check people and we check, I literally knew how to do it, right? So I didn't need anyone to explain to me where the opportunities were. Quite the opposite. I
Yep.
could see the opportunities. And and because I wasn't, I mean, look, let's be fair to the broader peer group of our industry. Most people in technology came through infrastructure. They
Yeah.
didn't come through business. And that in our industry, I think is the greatest hamstring. Because
Yes.
in our industry, with so few technology people, we really need business technologists to be able to communicate on the level that allows potential for success because it's not coming when you talk about the server and the email,
No,
and I would argue that that is this town for the most
I
part,
would agree. I would
you
agree.
know.
I think we're slowly changing, but they're still all about infrastructure. It's still all about, nuts and bolts versus delivering on a customer experience, which is what we're going to talk about.
No, no, absolutely.
Yeah, because I see that when I was reading through, um, it's very operationally focused and not technology focused. And that's
Mm,
what they want to see. You
right.
it good or bad. Steve Wynn loved technology. He didn't want to see it.
Yeah,
And that's what it's all about.
yeah,
But
yeah. No, that's absolutely right. And yet, isn't it ironic that our industry seems to be hell bent on putting the technology in the customer's hands?
yes,
I just find it truly extraordinary. And I just, oh, we can't work it out. We've given up. Why don't you do it yourself? Really? That's the new hospitality. I mean, and yet that's exactly what it is, right? And okay, I mean, I come from a world where I sort of strongly believe in choice, right? It's as a provider of a product and service to a customer, it needs to be about what suits the customer's choice. So should we have those things? Yes, we should. The problem, as I see it, is not that we have them, that we have decided to forego all the other effort that we're
right.
supposed to be making to make sure they don't need those tools at the expense of saying, we're not going to do anything. You just do it all yourself. And I honestly believe that it will be the end of certain sectors of our industry.
Mhm.
The end of it.
I
They
agree.
just won't exist anymore. And it will all be because of their own doing. As
Yeah.
AI continues to advance and as self-service continues to be this, it's what the customer wants, because I know I don't want it, that's for sure. then eventually you're going to get to a point where the customer is going to say, well, I don't need you for anything anymore, so I don't need you at all.
That's
So what happens to your business? And then you add AI on top of that. Well, it's a whole different story. So it's we need to be very careful because I honestly think that we're buggering it up for ourselves, you know,
Oh, we
and,
are.
and a lot of people just can't even see it coming, um, which is sad. Sad.
Well, I say we do another one. Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
no, any time, any time.
let's do it.
It's
All
someone
right.
has to talk about these things, and I think that it's when you don't have to do the corporate glad speak, these are the topics that need to be catalysts for people's thoughts, so that they realize that, oh, maybe what I'm thinking isn't crazy, you know. Maybe I'm seeing
Well,
something that isn't going the right way.
when you think about the staff in all of this, let's go back to the Industrial Revolution. We had to create unions to protect the staff because the businesses and corporations were growing so fast and they were taking advantage, and then it was okay, if you want a job, you're going to work 18 hours a day, 17 hours a day, and you're going to work when you're 9. You needed some kind of guardrails, and that's what the unions did. And now
That's
when we
right.
think about AI and the lack of guardrails around it,
Hmm.
and think about how your business is going to be affected by it,
Hmm.
it's the same
Hmm.
thing. It's a new revolution coming
Absolutely.
along, and it has to be harnessed and managed, or you're going to be left behind as a corporation.
Well, it's you're spot on, and isn't it ironic that because generally, at least, let's talk about the Western Hemisphere, Western world, right? Because that's where this model is mostly manifested. Unions did a great job to create somewhat of a balanced workplace. And now the workforce no longer understands why the workforce is a balanced place.
Right.
Therefore, they don't value unions, and unions are on the decline. And yet, if you thought the Industrial Revolution was bad, wait for this one, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
this is going to be wholesale destruction, and there'll be no one looking
Yes.
after the people who are going to suffer the most.
That's
No
that's
one.
exactly right. There's not going to because it's going to be about we're going to streamline the business. This all we're doing is we're improving our profit margins. We just need to make sure that we're running
Yep.
as clean as we can. But at the same time, what bodies are you leaving on the side of the road as you're streamlining?
Right.
Um,
And
but on the
no one cares
reverse,
about that.
no one cares about that. But on
Mm.
the reverse, it's also part of the onus on the employee and on those bodies that potentially can be left on the side of the road to keep up a little bit. I mean, you cannot put your head in the ground. You can't let the world pass you by. You have to stay as involved as you can and retool yourself. I had a
Mm.
leader years ago who used to say, lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that couldn't be any more succinct. And it's funny because, and you would have heard all of this, right? And particularly with some of the very leading edge tech that you worked with. I don't want to be first. What?
Yes.
Well, where else do you want to be? They,
Yes.
they, like, so you actively choosing to be last? Is that what
Yes.
you're
If you're
telling
not
me?
first, you're
Like,
last.
like
Yes.
because because if it's about competitive advantage, and again, as I said before, To me, that's all it's about. It's only about competitive advantage.
Yes.
You can't be second. The advantage is in being first and maintaining the distance between first and last as long as you can. And when it comes to technology, there's no question about it. The early bird catches the worm,
That's
and the
right.
worm in our industry can be 20 years.
Yes.
20 years. I mean,
Yes.
imagine being able to do something, me being able to do something for 20 years that you cannot do, and we're competing with each other. Where, you are not going to get that advantage because you redid the soft furnishings in the guest room. I'm sorry, you're not, and yet we'll go in our industry, we'll go and do that
Yes.
before we'll invest in a foundation of tool sets that gives us a repeatable optimization every time we do the same set of things over and over again.
Yep.
And convincing people that they should do that is extremely difficult to do in our industry.
It is so difficult. And getting them to change old norms and mindsets around how business is done. And it's the simplest thing. Scott Campbell brings it up often. I bring it up often. Um, the casinos in the hospitality business seem to think that you can't put a kettle in the bedroom, in the guest room, because they're going to lose out on a $3 coffee. They're going to lose out on an entire guest stay. Just put the damn kettle in the room and, let the person wake up the way they want to wake up or go to bed the way they want to go to bed. And they will play and stay much longer
Right.
than that $3 cup of coffee that you make them go stand in line down in the lobby.
It gets better, right? I'm talking about a real world example here. I won't mention any names, but um, I was, I stayed in on the strip over Christmas. And I was talking to a friend in the business, who worked at this particular property, and we were talking exactly about this scenario. And he was telling me about customer complaints, and he brought this exact example up, and he explained to me. He said, "Mark, now he's an international hotelier like me. Right? He's not specifically of here, so he's come from five-star hospitality globally, the way we do things elsewhere in the world, right? And there are vast differences, right? Um, and he said to me that a guest wanted a kettle. They wanted to have a cup of tea, right? They charged the guest $36 to have a
Okay.
kettle. Right? $36. This is the
Take
type
the
of
kettle home with you.
facility, right, that you will find in, forget about a five-star hotel. You'll find it in a three-star
Oh,
hotel
yeah.
anywhere else in the
In
world.
the world. Yes.
I mean, in Asia, the biggest problem that we had with the kettles is that the Asian people tend to make their noodles in them. So you'd have to
They
constantly
do.
clean the things all the time, right? But at least they had what they needed,
Yes.
So it is. Yeah. I mean, when you're paying $85 for a piece of rib fillet it's the same piece of rib fillet that you can have at home, right?
Right.
Then surely you can afford to let people make themselves a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, you
Well,
know?
talking about, in Asia with them making their noodles in the kettle, that is the same culture that stands three, four, five people deep to play
That's right.
at a table.
That's right.
So let them make their noodles
That's right.
because
That's
they're not okay. So they're not buying noodles in the restaurant, but they're
right.
gambling.
Right.
And
Exactly.
yeah. So this was a really long break, but I am sure we're going to find a way to work this into the conversation because I
Mm.
don't want this to get wasted at all.
I say this to Josiah Mackenzie all the time. I don't know if you've ever met Josiah, but he, he built up Hospitality Daily into the number one podcast for the industry. Lovely guy. He just has his way of going about this process is just really well executed. And yeah, there are a lot of people who do this in our industry who are sensational and noisy and yelling at each other. It sort of
No.
gets a bit old. But he does it really well. And I often call him the Stephen Bartlett of the hospitality industry. So I don't know if you know, do you know who Stephen Bartlett is?
No, I don't.
Check it out because I think being a being it's not about technology, right? He is I think after Joe Rogan, he's the number two podcast in the world, and he's a young British guy who sort of self-made himself, and for whatever reason decided to start doing these long form interviews with relevant people. So he talks to them for 2.5 hours. So there's 10 minutes. It's 2.5 hour discussion on
Details.
whatever it is that their particular area of interest or focus is. So, and we're talking about Jordan Peterson. We're talking about Gregory Hinton. We're talking about um, um, the names aren't coming to, but anyway, he gets the guests, right? He gets the most interesting human beings in the world, and he speaks to them for 2.5 hours.
Oh, it's
But
fun.
I think the it's called Diary of a CEO. But I think for you, given your technology background too, because the on the AI topic, I'm listening to people on that because he gets all the people who've actually been involved in AI, versus all the
Hmm.
people talking about it. And the main reason that I watch it is because, as clearly you have also grasped, this is destructive, right? On a scale that people can't even fathom. And so I want to know, right? Because I want to know for personal reasons. I want to know for business reasons. And I want to know for future reasons, right? Because, candidly, there's a question of how are we all going to survive in the future, right? So he gets the guys that know what's going on and know what's happened and know what's built and know what's
I need
capable
to.
and know where
Yeah.
it's all going. And I said to Josiah in a session I did with him a week or so ago, we were talking about AI. I said, don't worry about what I got to say. I mean, what do I know about it? I don't know anything. I said, these are the people that I listen to and I take my cues from because they actually know. They actually know what's going on and they actually know what's going to happen and they actually know what it is that we need to be positive about and petrified about. And
Exactly.
that's where I get my information from. It's not Mark pontificating on, what's AI going to do? I don't, I don't write code. I got introduced to AI at the same time as everyone else in the world got introduced to AI for the most part. I'm learning too, just like everyone else. It just so happens that I have a technical nature about me and I have the opportunity to spend the time on it while other people are doing their day jobs. So I might be able to take the information a little bit quicker. But at the end of the day, even I was listening to someone last night, Jeffrey Hinton's partner, in their movement to hold, rein all this back in, right? I just can't think of his name. But again, someone who was at the top of AI and bringing AI to pass over a career, right? And I was just listening to him talk to, um, just can't remember who, the ABC in Australia, one of our current affairs shows that was on, and he was just saying, I as much as I know about it, I don't know,
Hmm.
and these people know more than anyone, right? But basically they're going on to say, well, it's really straightforward, guys. If you think that 8 people in the world should determine the future of the human race, just keep going because that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. The destructive nature of AI coming from Google is so the best way to tell this is
Well, that's right. You're at Google, of course. I mean,
yeah,
what's his name? Who was the head of the Deep Mind? The Mo
yeah,
Gordad, is that him?
yeah,
So he's
yeah.
one of these people,
Yeah,
basically.
he's one of the developers. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm no longer with Google, but when I was, Vegas was my territory and selling Google Cloud, Google Cloud, Google
Mm,
Cloud.
mm,
I sat down with a customer. Oh, gosh, it was probably 2 months after AI hit the airwaves, and this customer was very much a Microsoft. Uh, Leaning tendencies
yeah.
towards Microsoft. Just that if it didn't start with Microsoft, he didn't want to talk to you. But
Mm,
out of courtesy, he'd take a call with me every once in a while.
mm,
And he's sitting there and he says to me, "So, Leslie, what does Google have to say with AI? I mean, they were caught with their pants down. Microsoft just came in and ran away with it."
oh,
So
yes, that's right. Of course.
people
Yeah.
who know me, people who know me, and you'll learn this, um, have learned that sometimes my mouth engages before my brain says, shut up, shut up, shut up. And that's what happened. And I came out with a litany of, well, first off, let's talk about Google's had AI since 2012 because every time you type something into a Chrome browser and it's predicting what you're saying, that's AI. So I don't know
Right.
what you're talking about
Right.
with Google being caught with their pants down. Google has purposely not introduced AI to the world because of the destructive nature. And
Mm,
now we've got this beast out there running rampant
mm,
and nobody knows what to do with it.
mhm.
The legislators are going nuts trying to control it. Businesses, and here we are. We're back to the beginning of our conversation. We're going to have
Yeah,
bodies on the side of the road
that's right.
because
That's right.
Microsoft was chasing the greenback versus making sure they were doing something
Right.
ethical. Yeah.
Well, and isn't it ironic? Because I'm a Google user, and doing what I do, it makes sense, right? And as you know, being much deeper into the commercial world, the reasons why you might not be a Google user after a certain point in business.
Yeah.
That's not my world, right? My world is Google Business Suite. All of my little businesses work
It
on that, right?
works.
Because it's
And it's
integrated, right?
seamless. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when it came to the whole AI side of things, right? And 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 it just fascinates me because it sort of goes back to what I was talking about, right? At the AI browser wars, right? Why would I use ChatGPT? Like, why would I
Frustrating.
use ChatGPT? What possible good reason would there be for Mark Fancourt under TRAVHOTECH, Highguard, Food and Bev Tech, Testbed, but it doesn't matter. What would be the value? No value.
None.
And hence I use Gemini, right? Now, and I've said this, I actually wrote 2 editorial pieces on Google for the industry between 2020 and 20 now. It was my observation of, particularly around the monopoly side of it and that, and sort of my arguments about what I saw it as, right? Isn't it funny how Chat GPT, well, it's not funny, it's totally predictable, right? I mean, if you know anything about technology and people's behavior, Chat GPT's user base is going that way and Google's is going that way.
Hmm.
Like, how did anyone else think this was going to turn out? You know,
Exactly.
they, when you have it all, and there's only 2 companies that have it all, it's Google and it's Microsoft. They're all going to end up back there. Now, the reason why, to your point, yeah, Microsoft funded ChatGPT. It might as well be called Microsoft AI, right? Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
funded that. Google did what Google was doing. Yes, Zook did his thing, and some of the others did their thing. But at the end of the day, people need a platform. They need an ecosystem. They need a place to work within. They need documents, emails, PowerPoints, filing storage places, and an AI tool. Well, if you don't have that,
Right.
ChatGPT, Perplexity, your time is limited. You know, your time's limited because it's platform world.
It really
Um,
is. You see it because you've been in both worlds. I have too. I'm in a Microsoft world now. And, I have Chat GPT with my work email. It's the most useless thing. Every time I say, okay, well, let me give it another try. Hey, Chat GPT, rewrite this email. Oh, well, you need to copy it into here. I'm like, oh my
exactly,
gosh.
exactly. Because I have both. Because I've always had my Microsoft because I'm a power user of Office, right? So when I'm writing documents, I want the full functionality. Um, I, 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 I've always had Surfaces because I love them, right? I spent probably like yourself. I spent so much time traveling with my technology that I've spent 30 years making it smaller, right?
Yes.
So now I'm down to a laptop that's that thick and a bag that's this big, right? So I'm like, yes. So I have Microsoft, and of course, it's a Microsoft product, and it's a great product. I mean, it truly is a great product. But of course, but when I left the corporate world, I didn't need to use Outlook anymore. I didn't have the overhead. I didn't need that.
Right.
So I used the old Windmail product, right? Because that was enough for me, right? And it was simple and it was fast. Well, over time, Microsoft has kept forcing me and forcing me and forcing me back to Outlook, and now I'm upset because now I've ended up with Outlook when I didn't want Outlook. But I don't really like the Gmail interface. But all my emails in Google, right? I can use it if I want to, but I just prefer the other interface. So, but yeah, I mean, it's all going to end up. It'll all end up predominantly back. People say, "Oh, SEO is dead." It's like, come on, man, get real. Like, like this is how they make the majority of their revenue.
That's
It's
exactly
not
it.
going anywhere. It's being repositioned is all that's happening.
That's
You know,
all that's
and I
happened. Yeah.
and I listen to people go, "Oh, it's all good," and I'm like, guys, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Well, and the
Hmm.
introduction of Office 365. Oh, it's so revolutionary. Office 365. You don't have to have the physical architecture anymore. Oh gosh.
Uh,
Who's been
uh,
doing that for years? It's the
uh,
same.
uh, uh, exactly,
Oh
exactly.
my goodness.